Sometimes people ask me questions, and I figured I'll talk a bit about my experience with just becoming a Twitch streamer. And everyone's journey is very different when it comes to becoming a Twitch streamer. So, you know, I will say immediately that I think you require a bit of luck to become a Twitch streamer. So sometimes it's possible that you're doing everything right and it still doesn't go your way. And sometimes you might be doing a lot of things wrong and you just kind of end up lucking into becoming a Twitch streamer. So it's possible I just got very, very lucky. And I don't really know what I'm doing. But I have been streaming for a fairly long amount of time now. I've been streaming for 5 years. And I've been doing it full-time for almost 2 years now. You know, I've been watching streams for like 10 years now. So I'd like to think that I know at least a thing or two about this kind of stuff. So the first thing, if you want to be a streamer, and now I'm talking about people, you know, if you want to do it like professionally, or if you just want to do it for fun as a hobby or whatever, you should ask yourself a few questions when you get started, such as what kind of character you'll be, because most people, most streamers, I would say, aren't 100% themselves. Some people will tell you to just be themselves, and that can work for you. For example, Forsen in the picture here, I would say that's one of the people who really is himself. He's kind of very much like his personality. So you just gotta decide for yourself what you want to do, and at the same time also what type of content you're trying to do and what kind of content you're trying to provide. A lot of people will say something like, make sure to provide unique, original content. That's like a thing I hear a lot of people say about becoming a streamer. I don't think that's necessarily true. So just try to do the content you're providing, like try to do it well. And that could probably take you a long time. Streaming takes longer or more time than you might think. When the stream is over, there's usually more stuff to attend to. There's DMs or emails or emotes or panel work or whatever. There's other stuff as well. So just keep that in mind. If you only have a few hours free every day, just keep in mind that you shouldn't schedule them all to streaming. It's going to be tough. I believe that consistency is better than having a lot of hours put into streaming. You can get away with streaming for just 2 hours if you're being consistent with it. Because if people know when to expect you, they can be there from the start. Meanwhile, if you're streaming 4 hours but they're randomly and people didn't know when to tune in. So most people should not just click the start streaming button and just go. It's usually not going to get you very far. If you don't have any kind of foundation whatsoever, I urge you to go to Twitch right now, go to a somewhat major category and sort after low view count to big view count, and just realize how many people there are with 0 or 1 viewers out there. So if you just hit the start streaming button, you will be one of them. And there's just, unless you're hardcore thumbnail farming, you're just not going to get anywhere. So you need some kind of foundation. You can have this foundation when you get started, or you can have it, you know, parallel, working on it parallel to your stream. So for example, if you can come from YouTube, social media, lots of Instagrammers, YouTubers, even porn stars have found their way onto Twitch. I myself kind of came from YouTube in a way, in the sense that I made my Twitch music, put it on YouTube, and then through that, I also fall slightly under the networking category. That you can also find people like GreekOdX, a very successful so-called networker, appearing on other people's stream and building your brand from there. There's also people like Moxie or Vaticus who have queued into games, or maybe more Moxie than Vaticus. Vaticus is Sniper, Moxie queued into XQC, right? That's kind of where he came from. You can also just be really good at a game. Like if you're really good, but we're talking top 100, if even. I don't even think top 100 is enough. But it doesn't have to be that you're top on the ladder. That would be someone like Forsen, right? Or Rekful or something. They won, you know, Rekful won tournaments. But it can also be other feats. It can be that you're a really good speedrunner. Or it can be, you know, look at Joker, world's first level 60 in WoW Classic. There's one category I haven't mentioned here, which is titty streaming your way into Twitch fame. It is possible. You can call that thumbnail farming. If you go to like Just Chatting and your thumbnail is interesting enough that people will click it, it's almost always boobies. Almost always boobies. So when you're actually streaming, I'm not going to talk too much about this because this is kind of tech support part, right? Most people I know use OBS. I think Stream Deck is great. I think having good lighting can come a long way for your webcam. I don't think the cam is too important. But I will say that I think one of the most important things is a good quality microphone. I think you can get away with almost everything else being scuffed. Just try to have a good microphone. I know there are streamers out there who are successful with bad microphones, but I am going to go out on a limb and say that they are successful despite having a bad microphone, not thanks to it. Yes, Moxie and Tyler One, for example, are known for having bad microphones, but they didn't get fame through it. Maybe it's a bit of their signature, but it's not, people aren't going, I can't wait to hear that guy with a bad microphone. Most people in general will see a bad microphone as a negative. When it comes to other things, panels, setup, fucking wires, 6 consoles, it's not a huge deal. Look at some of the top streamers and look at their setups. A lot of them are quite humble setups. It's not that important. Now, some people find it fun to mess around with this stuff and then do it. Scheduling and consistency when you're a streamer, I think, is very important. One of the most important things for growth. People need to know when you're going live, and they need to know what to expect when you're live. That's a very important one. People need to know roughly what they're expecting, at least if you're trying to go for variety. And this can help you in not losing followers or viewers also, if you're doing a temporary thing. When it comes to analytics, I like to use websites called Solynome, Twitch Metrics, and Social Blade. Social Blade is mostly for looking at follow count. Solynome I like a lot. Good statistics on that website. Quite interesting to look at sometimes. See what you're doing, what streams are doing well, what games are doing well, what games are doing poorly, stuff like that. Finally, remember to spend a bit of time in your community as a streamer if you can. Hang out in offline chat or check out their other streams, you know? If you're the one of the people who's establishing a presence in someone else's stream and you're building your brand from there, then keep that presence up. Sometimes people ask me what it was like for me when I went full-time and if they should go full-time and they're studying and they're considering quitting their jobs and stuff. And this is a super duper hard question to answer. So individual. It's crazy individual, right? It depends so much on where you're at in life, how much money you've got, what you're doing. Generally speaking, I think anyone studying and streaming at the same time should keep on doing that until they're done with their studies and just have that out of the way. But it depends on what country they're from. It depends on, you know, how easy it is to pick them back up if they're paying money for them. So the only thing I can really do is talk about what I did and what it was like for me going full-time. But when I went full-time, I had had a job for a long time, a pretty decent career, where I knew that if I ever wanted to get back into it, I would have no hard time getting hired again. I had savings so that I could survive for at least half a year, making no money whatsoever. And it was just, the timing just felt right for me because of that. I had backup plans if things didn't work out. The way I looked at it, I basically just took a bit of time off from work. And I just streamed meanwhile to kind of make some extra money. And then if that worked out, I'd consider full-timing or not going back. Get yourself a nice backup plan. So when people ask for like word of advice on streaming, I think most people give roughly the same advice. So I try to think about things I could mention that maybe you haven't heard before. One of them is to not underestimate follow count. I think follow count is quite interesting. I think a lot of people don't really care about follow count. I think it can be useful. Someone unfollowing your channel means they have decided that whatever you're offering right now in terms of content doesn't interest them in the slightest, and they don't believe that in the future it's ever going to interest them. So they're just out. You can do content that people don't like for a while, as long as they're under the impression that in the future you will be providing content they like again. Unfollow is a sign that there's some kind of miscommunication with your community, or you've just changed so drastically that people no longer like what you're doing. No, don't unfollow my channel now. Another one is watching your own VODs. I don't think enough people watch their own VODs. You see your stream from a completely different perspective. You can pick up on a lot of things they might not otherwise. It might be some sound quality thing that your viewers have just gotten used to, but you had no idea it existed, for example. Some issue with the sound quality. It might be that you're noticing that you miss way more messages than you think. Or it might be that you realize that some stuff is a lot more fun to watch than you maybe thought it was. And the final advice is to ask your current mods suggestions on future mods. If you need to add more mods, ask your own mods first who they think, because they sit in the chat all day. They see who's being naughty and who's being nice. A lot of them know each other, like they're mods who are mods on multiple channels. And they're kind of famous and maybe you haven't heard of them. And this, of course, assumes that you picked decent mods to begin with. Otherwise, you've got a self-enforcing downward spiral where your mods are just gonna get worse and worse, and you're gonna have this exclusive club of idiots. But assuming you're happy with your current mod team, if you're planning to add more mods on, it's probably a good idea to at least ask for their input. Remember that this is supposed to be a fun thing. Far too many people go into this thinking or expecting too much, expecting far too many viewers, expecting far too much success. It's quite uncommon to quote unquote make it as a streamer. It should be a hobby first and foremost. You should do it because you think it's fun to be a streamer, not because you want fame, money, and bitches. Be happy about your milestones. Look back on your own channel and be happy. Look where you came from. Look where you're at. Try to avoid to compare yourself too much to other streamers. It usually breeds jealousy, anger. Only ever compare yourself to other streamers to learn how to improve yourself. Use other streamers as a tool. Don't get angry if someone else is being successful. Now, are there any questions? Did you guys pay attention at all? Because there's going to be a test. No, I'm kidding. How big is your cock? I follow your tips, but I'm not a famous streamer. But maybe you're having fun. What would you say in terms of maintaining healthy social life and mental health while being a full-time streamer? I don't think it's any different from having a regular job and maintaining a social life. Or having any job where you work from home and maintaining a social life. Plenty of people work from home and they're doing just fine with their social lives. Assuming you're not a person who spends their entire day in front of the computer, it shouldn't make a difference. How I make easy money playing games? Just get really good. The world champion of Fortnite won what, 1 million? What if no one talks in chat? So I heard this piece of advice one time. If you want to be a streamer, be prepared to talk to yourself for a year. You have to be pretty good at just vocalizing your own thoughts. You have to always assume that someone is watching, even when someone isn't. How do you handle negativity or toxicity? Does it take a serious toll? For me, it doesn't, but I am very fortunate I would consider myself fairly loved in the community. Some streamers definitely have a harder time. How do you know if other streamers actually like you or just want to network off of? I feel like generally it becomes quite apparent. People are, yeah, I can't give you like a straight answer. Eventually you can just kind of tell in the ways they, subtly hint at you doing certain things for them. You notice when people start asking you for certain favors. Brevets Donis 3 and says, is Twitch too oversaturated? Is Mixer the way to go for brand new streamers now? No, I don't think so. There are plenty of streamers you can look back on the past few months that have come from nothing and are already popping off. Have you guys seen a streamer called Jasmine? She's getting like 1K viewers now, and she only started streaming a few weeks ago. You can look at how chubby, yeah. You don't need to farm thumbnails. Daff. Okay, I know I'm dropping a lot of girls here. I'm pretty sure there are male examples as well, though. Stupid Man Costume donates $3 and says, I want you to fuck my wife. Thanks. Do you think it's possible to start from 0 viewers without advertising your stream? No, probably not. Like I said, I think the only way that would work is either some random huge streamer finds your stream and decides to host it one day. Not likely. Or thumbnail farming. I think the only way to ever make it from the 0-1 view count is by hardcore thumbnail farming. Do you think a webcam is necessary? No, but I think it makes it easier. I think so. There are prime examples of like Moon and Lyric are streamers who made it without a webcam, but they're successful despite having a webcam, not thanks to. Sorry, despite not having a webcam, not thanks to it. Like most people don't tune into their streams like, oh, I love that this guy doesn't have a webcam. They like them so much that they don't care, right? What was your previous work? I worked with visual effects. Is a green screen necessary to be a real streamer? No. Look at your top streamers. Look at a lot of them. Most of them don't have a webcam. Shroud, XQC, Soda Poppin', Forsen. None of these guys. So I don't think a green screen is necessary. I don't think a webcam is necessary, but I think it's better than no cam. I think it helps. Sprungvinus cheers 200 and says, should I talk to chat even if there's 0 viewers? You shouldn't talk to chat. That doesn't make any sense if there's no one there. But you should vocalize your thoughts. If you're playing a game, you should talk about what you're thinking. That way it's not as awkward. You're not trying to make it a conversation with a person who's not there. You're just thinking loud. So that's what you should do. Have you tried doing another job plus streaming? Oh, yes. I started streaming in 2015. I still had a full-time job back then. Worked 9 to 5. Who inspired you to stream? Was it Forsen? Maybe. I think I always wanted to be a streamer. I've been watching streams for a long time, and it always seemed like a fun thing. Did you learn Nuke at the company? Okay, don't ask me VFX questions now. We'll keep that for another. Isn't getting on the Raw show an example of a way to boost yourself? Yeah, but that falls under the networking category I talked about. How much dedicated WAM should I have for my streaming PC? How much money is the minimum to show your cock on stream? Okay, you know what? Q&A over. That's it. Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, guys. Thank you very much. Hopefully we can get that into like a YouTube video. Could be cool.